blockers now. He's dancing his way for the touchdown.
You are now listening to Talk That Sports. My name is Adam, and I will be your host. Tune in for all the amazing episodes that are to come, as well as special appearances. You never know who's going to be on the show.
Welcome to another episode of Talk That Sports podcast with myself, your host, Adam. Today I have a guest. He has played at the University of Washington in college from 1989 to 1992, where he went and he went to three straight Rose Bowls and won a national championship with that team. I have today Mr. Lincoln Kennedy. Lincoln, how we doing?
Hey, Adam, what's going on, bud? How you doing?
Not too bad, man. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. I know we talked around the time that the season was coming to an end in the national championship, and man, what a long season we had this year, huh?
No doubt about it. College football has evolved to something that I really never thought I was ever going to get to, but it's looking a lot like the NFL in many ways.
Oh, without a doubt. It's crazy how much has changed, and we know how our season ended. Unfortunately, we didn't bring home, that championship, but we also got dealt with some cards that we really weren't expecting either, right?
Well, I mean, look, to be fair, the job that Kalen DeBoer and his staff did in 2 years is nothing less than remarkable. You think about it, you go through last season undefeated to the national championship, and he only lost 3 games in his 2 years here. To summarize it, that's phenomenal. It really is. And the thing is, it speaks volumes of the type of character and the type of program that he was building at Washington. I know a lot of Husky alum and a lot of Husky fans are a little bit down on his departure, but in my theory, there are jobs in this world that you would be unwise to ever turn down, in the borderline foolish, however you want to phrase it. And when it comes to college football, jobs like University of Texas, USC, Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, and even Alabama, these are dream come true programs for any coach. I don't care where you are, you generally aspire to be, places like this. And, the Huskies and University of Washington doesn't have to look any further than one of their coaches in the past. Steve Sarkisian was the head coach of Washington. He left the job to go to SC. It's a no-brainer. So I had the opportunity to speak to Kalen before he left, and I said, look, I can't imagine the amount of pressure. I knew when Nick Saban retired, I knew that was going to be a big job. Texas A&M was out there floating as well, but I knew that job was going to be huge, and I couldn't fault him. I knew he was leaving. It stuck in my craw, and I said, it's unavoidable. You can't turn down the job. Look, I love my Huskies. Don't get me wrong. I love the University of Washington. Don't get me wrong. You just can't turn down a job like that.
Exactly. And I could tell you, I'll be honest, when it first all happened, I was like, man, that's crazy, to let it go down the way it did. But, like you said, there's just no way you pass that down, filling in, Nick Saban's shoes and that legendary program that they have there.
No doubt about it.
Exactly. So at UW, man, you had a really great career there too. Again, national championship in 1991 and 3 Rose Bowl appearances. Not only that, you got to play under the Dogfather himself, Don James, the winningest coach in Husky history. How was that experience? How would you say that?
Tremendous. It made me the man I am today, having that experience. I appreciate Coach James and his staff, but most importantly, Coach James, may he rest in peace. He was a man of integrity, and it stuck out to me when I had a chance to play for him. And I grew so much, not only as an individual, but as a man. And that's what I want for the future of Washington football. I want coaches, I was involved to extent with Jen Cohen and the staff about the hire of Kalen DeBoer. I want a builder of programs. I thought we had that with Coach James. I thought we had that in his coaching tree. Lambright carried it on. I thought Coach Peterson did a good job when he was there, as well as, Coach DeBoer. But I want a builder of programs. I don't want a flash in the pants. I don't want a big splash as far as the name goes when it comes to coaches. I know they've got Fish down here, Jed Fish. But the thing is I want somebody who's going to build a program. because I know what Don James did to me and helped molding me to become a man. And I want that for the young men that come through the University of Washington halls, no matter for how long. If they are there for the duration of their career, they graduate there, I think they'll have a positive impact, not only in the community and the world today, because I think good programs build strong individuals.
No, without a doubt. And a lot of these young guys, they look up to their coaching staff. And I think you could attest to that, from what you were just saying. We see what Jed Fish did with the Arizona, Wildcat team, from when he first stepped foot there to even last year when he almost beat us with that very close game, when we played them. So, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, they went, I think 11-3 last year. So he's flipped that program around a lot.
No doubt about it. And, look, he's going to have his work cut out for him, because the transfer portal is a monster that no one could ever predict, and you can never really truly project. Over the last couple of years, doing some college football games, commentating, I've seen many rosters built through the transfer portal and sort of garnered. So I think the world of college sports, in my opinion, has become modern day free agency, like it is in the professional side. And it is professional sports, because a lot of these guys are getting paid to do it, these young people. But the thing is that if you're going to have to build a program through the transfer portal, it's really hard to project where you're going to get a lot of your players, and it's really hard to make a team. So anybody who's able to come out with a winning record, I think, is really ahead of the rest of the traffic.
Oh yeah, and that like you said, that transfer portal it's insane. I mean, we've seen guys that we got to watch the last couple of years actually enter that transfer portal and head out, and it's a shame, but you got to do what's right for you.
Certainly,
and, to get your exposure. So you were a part of the national championship team, and then you also were part of a Super Bowl team in the Oakland Raiders in 2003.
Yes, correct.
How does that experience? I mean, did you get to be a part of this national championship this year too?
Yeah, I was in Houston with the team. I flew down. I did the Raiders game, the season finale against the Broncos in Las Vegas. Okay. And then flew down to Houston and joined the team and the alumni. There was a great deal of guys from the 91 team, my teammates, as well as some of the guys. Coach Peterson was there, as well as some of the guys from the 2016 Peach Bowl team when the Huskies went down to play Alabama the last time they were in the playoffs. So yeah, I was there on site for the game.
Okay, so how would you say the national championship stage from back when 1991 compared to even now in 2024? Like how does that?
Oh, it's evolved to something different? It's way bigger. The national championship phase when I was in college, we had to wait for polls to finalize. So after we beat Michigan in 92 or 91, after we beat Michigan at the end of the season in Rose Bowl, we had to go back to the hotel and wait for the coaches and the press to decide, because those were the two different polls. And the coaching staff had voted Miami, I think it was number one, and the media poll, the AP poll, had voted us number one. That's how we were co-champions. So it's completely different than the playoff-bound sort of national championship, the college football Super Bowl, if you will, that they have to now. I mean, all of that was built up to where you have a definitive winner with the college playoff and then the national championship, as opposed to when I was there, you had to wait for polls to finalize.
Gotcha. How about a Super Bowl experience? I mean, you guys playing against Tampa Bay. Yeah. John Gruden, unfortunately, going from the year that he helped coach you guys to Tampa Bay. What was that Super Bowl experience like for you?
It was wonderful. I mean, playing in a Super Bowl, I hope, or a championship, I hope every individual that plays, especially professionally, has a chance to experience. I just wish I could have won the damn thing and brought home a ring. Exactly. That's really my only drawback to that scenario, not being able to win the championship. But it was wonderful. It was a wonderful ride. We had a tremendous season. The most physical game I played in, or what these guys are going to play in this weekend, is the AFC and NFC championship games. We played against Tennessee, and we were the last of the 1 weekers. I mean, and I had it even better personally because I was playing in the Super Bowl in my hometown in San Diego. So, being back home, being around family and friends, where I grew up, where I played for a state championship in high school, the same stadium, and having a chance to play for a Super Bowl there was, it was one of those swan songs that I wished I had told myself if I was able to win that game, I was really, leaning towards retirement, riding off in the sunset as a winner. Unfortunately, we didn't lose it. We did lose it, and coming back the following season, was hoping to have another chance at it, but the following season was an abomination. It was horrible. I think we went 4-12, could barely beat anybody. And then that's when I hung up my cleats.
It was just time. You were like,
yeah, it was time. The body was beat up, and it wasn't the same experience. Football had already run its course in me, and I was done. I wanted to live a little bit of a life.
Exactly. So as a rookie coming in, you were drafted in the
93.
first round, ninth pick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep, 93 to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
What was that transition like for you?
Well, coming out of college, I had a wonderful time in college. I didn't want to leave. As a matter of fact, if I was a part of today's standard, I would probably transfer it all around the world just to see how much I could stay in college, because college was so fun. But anyways, with that being said, going on to the next level, it was a dream come true. I never really expected to be in the National Football League. Even when I had a lot of notoriety and a lot of accolades coming my way in college, I just thought of the National Football League as one of those dreams. Well, if it happens, I'll embellish it. I'll do the best I can. But if not, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. With that being said, going into the league, wanting to be the best, that's all I've ever wanted to do. When I played the game, I wanted to be the best at it, what my craft. So I took the challenge on. I did not have the greatest of experiences in Atlanta. And that's one of the things that got me traded out to the Raiders. And after that, by the help of Al Davis and his staff and the Raiders organization, I was able to revitalize my career and finish it off on a good point.
Okay. When coming into the league, I mean, you had guys in the locker room like Eric Dickerson ending out his career in Atlanta. I mean, you had Bill Goldberg. You probably didn't really know much about him at that time. WWE and WCW legend Norm Johnson, ex-Seahawk kicker. I mean, even primetime Deion Sanders was in that locker room. How was that locker room experience with those guys?
Well, it's like a freshman walking in any locker room. If anybody has had either high school or college sport experience, you're a young kid coming in and you see all these. There's stars on every team. Every doesn't matter what level you are. There's stars. So it was a great experience. And I remember, the funny story you mentioned about Goldberg. Goldberg and I were lockers next to one another when I came into the league. And I remember talking to Bill a couple of times, guy coming out of University of Georgia, a defensive tackle who did have a lot of accolades, but walked on. I think he was a free agent when he came on to the Atlanta Falcons with me. But anyways, he had already talked about dreams of going into wrestling. And he had told me at the time when we were locker mates that he was going to go into wrestling. I didn't believe him. I thought he was full of crap. I'm like, whatever. Yeah. I don't even know how you get into that world, but he blew up and he became this big superstar. And every time I see Goldberg, I remember those times where we went at it in practice, because when I first came in the league, I played guard and he was the defensive tackle. So we went at each other in practice. But more importantly, I remember him telling me about those dreams and aspirations of being in the WWE and the WWF, and he made it happen.
There he is, legend himself. So
true story.
I want to talk a little bit about the Raiders, because I know we're kind of getting close to time there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're in Oakland in 1996. I mean, you get to reunite with Billy Joe Hobert, as well as Napoleon Kaufman, two guys you played with at in UW.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then you also had guys like Charles Woodson, Rich Gannon, Jerry Rice, who was still playing really great football. How was it? How was that team? I mean, obviously it's a lot different than that Atlanta Falcons team.
Very different.
How was that transition?
Well, the transition was actually quite easy, because Al Davis, may he rest in peace as well, made it possible. Al Davis had told me a long time ago, before I even became a pro, that one day I was going to be a Raider, and I was able to make that happen. And I was just in love from the beginning when the Raiders moved back from Los Angeles to Oakland, only because I was in love with the passion of the fans in the Raider Nation. The fact is that I felt like a part of a family with the Raiders organization, and we extended that family to the Raider Nation, a true fan base that really supported its football and its team, win, lose, or draw. Didn't have that luxury, or didn't feel like I had that, from ownership down to fans in Atlanta. So this was something I was more accustomed to, coming from the great traditions out of the University of Washington and how loved the Huskies were in the Pacific Northwest. So, I was just proud to be a part of that team. And I really gave it my all. We had some good runs. I had some personal success. We had team success, as you mentioned, going to the Super Bowl. We went to the playoffs, and I've got friendships from that experience that lasts for a lifetime. Still pretty close to this very day to Napoleon Kaufman. Just saw Billy Joe in Houston. He's a grandfather, so it shows you how old we're getting, and all the things that become from it. So just a great time in Raider Nation and a great time in the Silver and Black, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still part of the organization today. From the radio commentator concept.
There you go. And then, let's talk about the 3-time, all-pro, status that you got while in Oakland. So,
it's just, some accolades that, that came my way. I had the benefit, but I wouldn't have been able to achieve them if I didn't have good teammates around me. Because if we stunk, exactly, nobody would have known how good I played.
Exactly. And again, it's a scary team, both, just everything that you guys had around you was amazing. I know we're getting close to time there. Mm-hmm. I know you're mentioning how old you're getting. Just a little fun fact: I played against Zach in Boys and Girls Club football, as well as in high school. I went to Clover Park, he went to Lake. Okay. So
that's all right.
I try to reach out to him. It is. I try to reach out to him, see if I could get him on my show, but no, he's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy.
Stuff like that. Exactly. But no, I definitely appreciate you doing this with me. It's an honor. Being a Husky fan, Adam. Everybody knows your name. So yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you.
I hope it's in good territory. That's what I'm hoping for.
Definitely. I've never been to a Husky game, so I'm hoping to get out eventually soon. But we'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you'll be out there or something.
There you go.
All right.
Well, thanks Adam. I appreciate it.
Take care.
You have a good day. Take care.
You too. Bye.
I just wanted to take a moment and thank the podcast sponsor, StreamYard. Without StreamYard, none of this would be possible. I also want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching this episode, whether you're streaming it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or watching on YouTube. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for many more episodes.